Oh, yeah. It's time to wreck shop, as they used to say in the 80s. I don't know if you remember that.
Wreck shop.
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
After you drop science, you wreck shop. Yeah.
Yeah. After you dance on some cardboard and
on your head, on your spin, on your head. Yeah.
Yeah.
1983 shout out. What's up?
Bust out the Walkman.
Exactly. People forget,
Yeah.
or like you, they just don't know because they weren't there because they're so young. It's just terrible how young people are these days and how they don't remember the past. Yeah, no, we're here, man. We're gonna wreck shop. We're gonna drop science. We're gonna drop knowledge. It's another thing that was said. I'm a very 80s person, and we're here to deliver the truth. Okay,
the objective truth.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the truth?
That's what I do. I'm a newsman.
Yeah, but can you handle it? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
we'll see that shit. We'll see.
In contemporary hip hop news, did you see that Trump pardoned Larry Hoover and NBA YoungBoy? Larry Hoover, founder of the Gangster Disciples from the 70s, had a case in the 70s. There was a massive.
Wait, is this Larry? Is this the founder of the Hoover Street Gang?
Yeah,
in LA,
Chicago. But
oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there's a Hoover, very big, important Hoover gang in LA that I used to live on Hoover in LA, Salvadoran neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay, so wait, he's right. I saw that he pardoned some criminal hip hoppers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Basically, the whole Donda album. Well, because
they paid him.
Well, no, it's outreach that Ye and Kim Kardashian did in their first administration.
For the black vote?
Yeah, for criminal justice reform. I think Trump has a soft spot for black people. He has a soft spot for celebrities. And
really?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's
wait, quote Michael Weimer. It's obvious, pretty obvious that that Donald Trump has a soft spot for black people.
Yeah, like he got an NAACP award. He loved being in photos with Ali and Rosa Parks. I mean, his whole career, like, nobody loves me more than my African Americans. He's delighted every time he's in a photograph with anybody. And
I put this out there. I think I did. Didn't I?
The platinum plan, all that.
Yeah, no, this is a challenge, and it would be hugely important social science data. I'm not joking. It really would be. The number of references to Trump in hip hop songs prior to 2015, the number, it's huge, right? I don't know, but it was a common thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, every East Coast rapper in the 90s, called themselves the Black Donald Trump.
Something. But, they would say something about it, and it was always positive.
Yeah.
He was just considered to be the biggest hustler, player, gangster, pimp there was the vibe. That was the attitude, right?
Yeah.
That he's what we want to be. We aspire to be Donald Trump. Super common among rappers in the 80s too, 80s and 90s and even 2000s until he ran for president in 2015.
And that's kind of reversed a little bit again. If you saw the campaign in 2024, Snoop Dogg DJ'd an inaugural event for the Trump administration, and so he went from shooting a clown mock-up of Donald Trump in a music video in the first administration to playing an event for the administration in the second inauguration. So I mean, yeah.
Now, Michael, how much do you think hip hop lyrics represent the feelings of the black community?
I mean, it depends on what you're listening to, because
you need to. Well, wait, you're already racist. Okay, so you're already being racist. So what you want to say right there is, what's the black community? There's no such thing that's racist. That's a racist category, assumption. Right. So
sure, that's fair.
After you say that, then what would you say?
No, it depends on who you're talking about. It depends on what rappers you're talking about. I think there's a long string of hip hop right now that is basically a CIA agitprop, that is deep state DNC propaganda.
What?
The industry
Who's this?
plants. Again, I say Kendrick Lamar is incredibly talented, but he makes music for the deep state.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, I like his last album though. He's just having fun on his last album for the most part, as much as he can. But
now,
Doechii,
wait, hang on. When you say he,
Gambino,
do you wait? Hold on. When you, oh really? Wow. So these guys. Yeah. So when you say, what did you say about the deep state and Kendrick? What's the relationship?
Precisely. Kendrick Lamar is working for the CIA. There's no question about it.
Working for, so they're paying him.
Probably, or they have somebody in his camp, or he's compromised in some way. But I mean, this is nothing new.
That's some conspiracy theory bullshit, man.
We've gone.
I'm embarrassed to be associated with you until we all recall a guy named Louis Armstrong.
Oh yeah,
Remember Louis Armstrong? Everybody, fairly important African American. You know what? Like, in fact, Jesus, is there an African American history poster without Louis Armstrong's face on it? Is there an introduction to African American studies course in which Louis Armstrong isn't mentioned in the first lecture? Yeah, no, he's like top 5. Right? There's King, there's Parks. Louis Armstrong is right after that. Louis Armstrong in the 1950s, ladies and gentlemen, toured extensively, repeatedly, and in the 1960s across Eastern Europe. Whoa. He was the first American artist to perform in public in the Warsaw Pact countries. Oh, he just did it because there was so much popular support for him in those countries. And there was considerable love for jazz in Eastern Europe, and that is the subject of both Renegade History, piece of it, and the forthcoming book I've got. No doubt. But did Louis Armstrong, a man from New Orleans in the 1900s, and then from Chicago in the 1910s and 20s, who was loving life as being the biggest black superstar in the world and all the attendant benefits to that, he was great. Do you think that he chose to go to fucking Poland and Romania and East Germany?
No, he was just generally patriotic, and he cashed the checks that were given to
him.
Him.
That's really what it was. He just loved America so much, having been born under segregation at a time when only Sicilians and Jews would pay to see him play, or to employ him, or to put him up in their clubs, because all the jazz clubs were owned by Jews and Italians, not good patriotic Americans. Yeah, Louis Armstrong didn't give a fuck about anything but money, as he should have. I mean, God bless him. Precisely the correct attitude. Yeah, the CIA sponsored, to cut to the chase, the CIA and the State Department in the 1960s, 50s and 60s sponsored several, not just with him, many tours. Dizzy, thank you. Dizzy Gillespie was the other one. Major tours of Dave Brubeck. Major tours of the communist countries of jazz musicians. Of course, now for the CIA, they did this, in the State Department. They did a very concerted campaign. It's very well documented. You can look it up. The idea was they knew that jazz and American pop music was very popular in Eastern Europe. But what happened in the 1950s with jazz was what? After the war. I mean, after the 1940s, it was the jazz became assimilated, became considered to be respectable, and even sort of celebrated as America's classical music, which is what it's been considered ever since then. And Kennedy Center has a jazz commemoration show every damn year, right? In the 1930s and 20s, it was jungle music. It was nigger music. Oops. It was N-word music. It was dance music.
11 minutes in. That's.
I know. We're
11 minutes in.
But did you all understand? I was quoting people. YouTube, do you understand what quoting people from the past is? You're not going to demonetize us or word. But you understand, right? When someone in the past of historical importance says X, nowadays, as historians, when we say so-and-so said X, is it not essential that we quote them correctly and precisely? Yeah, that's what was said in the 20s and 30s and even into the 40s. It is jazz is, and this is Renegade history throughout. I have a lot of stuff in Renegade history on this. N-word music, jungle music, barbaric. John F. Kennedy into the 1950s even. Well, that was more about rock and roll. But John F. Kennedy and Barry Goldwater chaired hearings in the United States Senate on the threats of American popular music to civilization, focusing mostly on rock, but earlier it was jazz. Before World War II, there were, it was cited in the hearings on immigration reform bills. Like, we should allow these people in when they end up like owning jazz clubs where our white girls are going and dancing with dark-skinned men. And yeah, it was terrifying. The Ku Klux Klan, which we've talked about a lot, the second Klan, which was most prominent and powerful in your home state, not saying anything beyond that. But in the 1920s, the second Klan grew to about 6 million members nationally. Huge. Had major influence. And again, we've said this before, but people need to know this. You know, it's funny, like, people wonder, it wasn't really, it was much less of an anti-black
again, Indiana, then. There are no black people in Indiana.
Like, right. Not significant numbers.
I was actually talking to somebody. I was talking to somebody recently who has a grandparent that was in said association. And yeah, she was like, yeah, there were no black people at all in the region that my grandfather was in. And so he realized it was an anti-Catholic organization. And that's when this person quit. He was a Methodist guy and believed in Christian unity. But yeah, it was anti-immigrant. And but it was mostly machine politics. And you got to talk about the role that Birth of a Nation played and how Woodrow Wilson was used in that movie to legitimize the Klan, and that it was, the biggest first ever Hollywood blockbuster, which secured the funding, I think, for Metro. Yeah, but long story. First ever Hollywood blockbuster, 3 hours, and then you have recruiting for the organization that's the heroes of your movie. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's going to spread like wildfire.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this is a very roundabout way of getting at what the CIA is up to, potentially. In other words, how seriously should we take your claim or suggestion, right? The CIA is sponsoring.
Well, Jay-Z and the Clintons are best buds. And then Jay-Z is in charge of the Super Bowl halftime show. He's the Super Bowl halftime show, which is coordinated with the United States military.
Right. Quite obviously.
Obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that connection. Oh, it's so clear. That like many of our most beloved, we think countercultural artists, like our favorite rappers, it's very clear, and we need to come to grips with it. Truly, and this is not conspiracy theory. This is not, Alex Jones territory. This is just, it's kind of objective fact at this point. They work to some degree directly with United States national intelligence agencies.
What did the Democratic Party spend the entire 2024 campaign budget on? Appearances by Beyonce, Megan Thee Stallion, and Cardi B.
Boom. Yeah. Oh, there's no way the CIA would ever reach out to them. To try to help them in changing hearts and minds about American foreign policy. Oh no, they would not do that ever. Again, we've got just reams of history of what the CIA has been doing, and the State Department going again. The black jazz musicians we were referencing were used when they transitioned from being subversive jungle N-words to being respectable American classical music N-words after World War II, which really was a major thing that happened between the 30s and the 50s. Jazz went from being, as I said, like almost universally considered, like among respectable people, as a threat to civilization, to becoming like a pillar, really a prideful pillar of a new American civilization, right? There was a national pride in jazz when 20 years earlier they were calling them jungle monkeys who were like seducing our white girls and destroying American society. I'm not exaggerating. In the 10s and 20s and 30s, and this is in Renegade, you can look it up. But as many people.
Henry Ford talked about this, I believe. Henry
Ford
my
God, Ford went nuts about it. But he was amazing. Yes, Henry Ford was right about everything.
Oh, thank you. I agreed. So if you know, if you ever went to elementary school in the Midwest, there's all these square dancing programs, and there's all these traditional dancing programs. That was all funded by Henry Ford as a response to jazz. All those traditional dancing societies. That was like, hey, we've got to go back to our roots. It wasn't like an organic push that these dances were happening forever. He was reaching back a couple generations before to give white kids something to do that wasn't the dangerous jazz music that was.
That's phenomenal. You just now telling me this? I didn't know. This could have been like a whole like subchapter in Renegade history.
Fiddle competitions, everything.
I didn't know that. Damn it, Weimer. What the? That would have gone straight into Renegade. I'm not kidding. Like, right? Because that's the whole story in Renegade history is the fight between.
I've been listening to the Ken Burns audiobook documentary about country music. And there's a little bit about that, and Henry Ford is portrayed as a villain for doing that. But it's amazing to see how that's, if you want the idea about how the establishment uses music, just keep watching those Ken Burns documentaries about music, and you'll see exactly how music is used to legitimize greater social campaigns. Like, how great was it that all these artists got off on the GI Bill? Their families had solid footing on the GI Bill, and how great was it that Charlie Pride legitimized the civil rights movement? That's what you'll hear on PBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So where did we start? Yes, that's amazing history. Where did we start though? Who is being sent abroad now? Which Negro is being sent?
Larry Hoover. Championed by Kanye West on the Donda album and the Drake concert that he did in December of 2021, the Free Larry Hoover concert.
Right. Okay.
It was broadcast on Amazon and into movie theaters. So Larry Hoover is free, founder of the Gangster Disciples. He's been in prison for almost 50 years now, and I think he still has a 200-year state sentence. He had a life sentence federally, I believe, that got commuted, and he's still facing something from the state of Illinois. And then NBA YoungBoy got his pardon.
So again, it's about hip hoppers and black artists, and especially those who are considered to be subversive and countercultural. There's a long history of them being used for political purposes by, the heads of state. And again, going back to Louis Armstrong being used by the CIA. Who else was it? Count Basie, I think, did tours. Dizzy Gillespie, you said. This is in the 50s. Again, once jazz became respectable, then the CIA jumped all over them and used them extensively and paid them a lot of money. State Department tours. And I think,
it was in opposition to the Soviet Union. The idea was the Soviet Union is a bunch of fuddy-duddies who do state propaganda. And in the United States, we don't do boring hundreds of year old classical music and plays about farmers. We have free, innovative, improvisatory, mind expanding music that's part of the new age.
I wonder if I don't think they actually, I don't think they, meaning the establishment, meaning the CIA, meaning the State Department, said those things about jazz being liberatory. Maybe they did. I doubt it.
That was
I
the
think
idea of having them in juxtaposition.
that would be fascinating to
That
see
was
with
the idea behind
discourse.
funding Jackson Pollock. Why his stuff got, because his stuff was totally completely abstract, and but
so it's, man, it sucks that I am currently completing a book on this very subject, and I don't know whether you're right or not, meaning that I haven't, Jesus, dude. So what I want to know, I just haven't found rhetoric, right? Discourse from the State Department, from the presidents, from the, during this period, 50s, 60s, 70s, when they are using, yes, you're right. Abstract art was another famous thing that the CIA used. Modern abstract art in exhibits, I think in Europe, to sort of like show American superiority over communism, etc. I don't know. We need to do a class on this. That would be amazing. Where we examine the actual discourse, the rhetoric used in those exhibitions and those performances, you know, of Louis Armstrong, what was said about it, like what was written on the little placard next to the Jackson Pollock painting in the Eastern European Museum in 1957 or whatever. What did they say about it? I don't know. I should know.
Yeah.
But my understanding is they didn't go that deep because these were puritanical white American Protestants from the 1950s. So they didn't actually think, generally speaking, I think, that Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong played good music. In fact, I think they looked down on this stuff, and I don't think they liked Jackson Pollock either, personally, because that's where they come from. They came from Northeast, you know, early Victorian era, basically puritanical WASP families, upper class, like Roosevelt and all the rest of them. That's who that generation is. I don't know.
What do you think Hillary Clinton actually thinks about Megan Thee Stallion?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And same with Kamala. I mean, maybe less with Kamala, because I guess she kind of, since she's from my hood, she probably must have some love for black music. But like, it's not, clearly that's not why she employs all these references to Tupac, etc. It's not that she has this incredible love of black music.
Hey, she was listening to Tupac in '89, man. She
OG. Yeah. When Tupac, what was he doing then? He was in jail for killing somebody.
No. He was
hitting somebody, hurting somebody. Tupac, we should talk about
Tupac in '89 was a sissy boy in a performing arts high school that hadn't released any music yet.
Living in Marin County.
Yeah.
People don't know.
When he was hot,
he's from Marin City.
Yeah. But when he was hot, he was coming off a rape case, and that's the thing.
Tupac,
that's the Me Too thing.
Tupac was a disgusting, grotesque human being, violent and horrific. And it's one of the weirdest things that the left has ever done, choosing him as their hero. And I don't just go listen to damn near any one of his songs. I mean, except for Dear Mama, like, I suppose, like, but it's mostly just, most of his songs are fuck you, nigga, I'm gonna kill your ass. Because
are you telling me a mama's boy was violent against women? Are you
amazing? No, but like, he was especially sadistic and went out of it. And this is before rap went full nihilistic, you know, back in the 90s. A lot of rap like had stories and messages and ideas, and there was somewhat like fairly intellectual rap. And he was just like, and it was all like personal beefs.
Yeah.
It was, most of it wasn't even political. It wasn't like, I'm going to kill the cops, which whatever. No, it was like, I'm going to kill you, Biggie in particular, but like a bunch of rappers just threatening to kill this dude and that dude and that dude and this dude. Kill, kill, kill. He was horrific. And then of course, he went to Dannemora State Prison in upstate New York, which is it's maybe the worst prison in the United States, but for a reason, maximum security. Because what did he do? Like, rape. It was major.
It was a rape case.
It was rape, and it was serious.
And he was convicted, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
He was convicted, and with real evidence, not some bullshit Me Too stuff. This was, he was, and then he beat up a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And was he at all involved in the Biggie Smalls murder assassination? Gee, is there I'm not saying he was, but clearly, I mean, you want to suspect him, don't you? He was horrific, and he wasn't even a good rapper. If he had flow like Biggie, I would be a little bit more, I would be a little more sympathetic. but he wasn't. He was not a good rapper.
He was prolific, and he was a great storyteller. And he had
here and there.
He had some of the greatest producers behind him too. He had Easy Mo B, who people forget about in his early days.
Well, that's why he was good.
And he came the Digital Underground sound that he came out with originally. I mean, amazing, but incredible storyteller, sure. But he was a sensitive theater kid who got a role in movies as a gangster.
Good actor.
Good actor.
He was definitely a good actor. Yep. He was a good actor.
And he never dropped that character. That character became him. And he
theater kid.
Yeah, he had to act like a gangster ever since.
You just called Tupac a fag. You know that? You just did that.
No, this is documented, yes. And
I'm glad this isn't 20 years ago, because your ass could get shot.
Man, no, I think I think there's some stuff about him and Quincy Jones.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Geez,
Quincy Jones, maybe the most important Black music producer and artist of the last forever. Because who didn't go through Quincy Jones, so to speak? And now you're saying that he was going through them.
Yes. And that's
really something.
Yeah.
The down low is a thing. I can speak to this from personal experience, but we should move on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's
get to the
Larry
news.
Hoover's free. I want to talk about the Israel stuff.
Oh my God.
I know how horrific it always is, but
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. It's two things. I got two clips on this. One is that they are losing the sympathy of even Sidney McCain.
It's over.
The widow of John McCain.
It's over.
They are once again
now, guys. Move back to Brooklyn. Move back to LA. Move back to London. Move back to Cape Town, where you all fucking came from. Not all, but most. It's over.
And also
it's bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So I guess the recent developments are, the blockade is continuing. Trucks are getting looted, and Israel is blaming this on Hamas. That Hamas is the one looting these trucks. And I just want to show you, I'm not sure if you saw the clip, but this is what Sidney McCain had to say about that allegation. This is what's been happening. This has been a common accusation.
This is
forever.
Just so people know, this is Cindy McCain. This is John McCain's widow.
Yeah.
Your organization announced at least 15 of your trucks were looted when they entered southern Gaza en route to bakeries. Israel has consistently said that the looting is being carried out by Hamas. Have you seen evidence that it is Hamas stealing the food?
No, not at all. Not in this round. Listen, these people are desperate, and they see a World Food Program truck coming in, and they run for it. This doesn't have anything to do with Hamas or any kind of organized crime or anything. It has simply to do with the fact these people are starving to death. And so we will continue to go in. We will continue to go in with food and the kinds of supplies we need to help the bakeries operate and make sure that we can continue to do that and hopefully be able to do more of it. But again, we can't do this unless the world community puts pressure on this. We can't be allowed to sit back and watch these people starve to death with no outside diplomatic influence to help us. These poor souls are really, really, really desperate. And, having been in a food riot myself some years ago, I understand the desperation very well.
Okay. So here's the story, actually. I mean, because we now have the data, the evidence is all in about this. So there's no contesting that Israel, in March, when it broke the ceasefire and began raining hell and killing record numbers of Palestinians in Gaza, more than even in 23, more than ever. I mean, it's been, I think it's 1,000 or more. probably more than that, but at least 1,000 since March 18th, I think it is. And so, yes, they imposed a blockade on humanitarian aid, all food shipments, medical shipments, all that since then. So 3 months of that. That's not contested. Yeah, I mean, I've watched multiple Israeli government officials and Zionist talking heads since then talk about it. They don't deny that. It's just not deniable. Listen, when Cindy McCain, the widow of John McCain, who was riding Israel's dick for most of his adult life, very famously and publicly, we know this. Wow. So yeah, it's caving in. So they've lost Cindy McCain. They've lost Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan is now very hostile toward Israeli guests on this show. Very hostile to them and almost mocking of them, which is amazing because he was basically defending Israel for the first probably 6 months to a year of the war. The UK, I mean, David Lammy, the Tories, he's like a Tory. He's their foreign minister. It's ridiculous. I mean, it issued this scathing denial. He sounded like Max Blumenthal in the House of Commons. I'm not kidding. I mean, it was, watch the speech. Just this is the UK Foreign Secretary, a Tory, who's just laying into Israel, which has never happened. The UK has been even more sort of in lockstep with Israel than the US since 1948. Amazingly, incredible. Spain is now openly, the government of Spain is now urging an embargo on Israel. France, Macron has, did you see Macron get slapped in the face by his tranny wife?
Yeah, once again, Candace Owens is miles ahead of us all.
Do we? Weird. I mean, I guess she's right. I guess it's true. I don't know. I haven't gone all the way through the documentary, but I very, very smart, sober friends of mine, I won't name them, have said that it's very convincing that Brigitte Macron is indeed a trans woman. Anyway,
it's no France. In Macron's defense, he is French. And that's kind of
exactly to me that's right. Exactly. I'm like, to me, it's like, Candace, like, don't have to do this. They're French. Like, why do you have to even make a whole documentary about this? Just they're French. Yeah. I mean,
it's not like he's the governor of Oklahoma or anything. It's France. You know, it's
Francois Mitterrand, who was the prime minister for how many years, had he would go to state functions with his mistress. Like, people knew her. She was like a celebrity just as much as his wife was, and sometimes he would go to a state function with his mistress and sometimes with his wife, and it was all cool. Like, that's a society I want to live in.
The compelling thing, though, is the idea that world leaders are groomed and sexually abused and chosen far ahead of time. Which is the broader implication.
That's the grand theory. Okay.
Yeah, that's the broader conspiratorial implications of it. Yeah.
Like, perhaps, for instance, Castro's son, who became president of Canada. Yeah. That's a crazy story. When I hit that one, I was like, oh, come on, you knucklehead alt-right weirdos. Justin Trudeau is not Fidel Castro's son. And I started looking into it. I was like, oh boy. That one I'm more convinced of than even Brigitte Macron being a man. I mean, that one is, I'd bet damn near everything on that one. You look at the timeline of Trudeau's mom. They were taking a trip in the Caribbean all around Cuba, and she disappears for about 4 days, right around the time when Justin would have been conceived. And there's so much more. It's like, and then just look at him and look at Fidel. It's just, and then look at Pierre Trudeau. Like, it's just not even a question. Like, I pretty much would bet everything that Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. And that's just, whoa, now what do we do? You know what I mean? Like, if that's true, wait a minute. So then it seems like there is a lot of like kind of coordination going on among elites somehow, but like, Castro was definitely the enemy of the West. I don't know. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. but that's a weird one. Anyway, back to Israel and how it's going to not survive. I give it 10 years at most as a Jewish ethno-state. I don't see it. I don't see 10 years elapsing. I don't see that piece of land being an exclusive apartheid Jewish ethno-state in 2035. It's just, and being an Israeli right now, I feel bad for a lot of Israelis because a lot of them are either completely, truly apolitical or they're actually anti-Zionist. I mean, I know it's like 3%, but it's still thousands of people. There are thousands of people who are Israelis who are as anti-Zionist as I am. And it sucks. If they travel anywhere, they're going to be seen as baby killers. I mean, they're going to have to explain their way out of every social situation they're in.
It's fair to have sympathy for those people, but
yes,
have you seen the internal polling data that shows the majority of Israelis are sort of radicalizing on this subject? And
yeah. So Penn
internally,
State,
the plan is to flatten all of Gaza.
Yeah, the Penn State poll, which I think is 2 weeks ago. Penn State did a poll. They polled 1,000 Jewish Israelis about their attitudes about such things, and it was 80+% favor ethnic cleansing, like pushing the Palestinians out of Gaza entirely. And then this one is just 47% of Jewish Israelis think that the IDF should kill every Palestinian in areas that they conquer. That was the wording of the question. When the IDF conquers a city in Gaza, should it do to the Palestinians what the Israelites did to the Amaleks? It was this weird phrasing, but it was clearly like kill everybody. In fact, I think they did phrase it, kill everybody. They said, meaning kill everybody. And the 47% of Jewish Israelis said, yes, the IDF should kill everybody in places that it conquers. Okay, now here's the main thing I want everyone to just fucking watch and then we're done honestly talking about this issue because you will know exactly what to do and think about it. This doctor, Feroz Sidwa, who's from not far from me, he's from Stockton. He's an American dude. His parents were Iranian, but he's an American dude. A trauma surgeon from Stockton, California. He's been to Gaza twice during the war. Once before the ceasefire and then once during and right after the ceasefire, meaning in the last 4 months. I mean, he's been on Pod Save America. He just testified before the UN Security Council. He's been on multiple major media outlets, establishment. Pod Save America is the Obama people. And by the way, they hate Israel. They hate Israel. They fucking hate Ben Rhodes, Tommy Vitor, the Pod Save America. You guys understand this, right? That's the number one podcast among liberals, among these moms at home that we've hated professionally for a long time now. Yeah, that's who they listen to. That's who they believe in. That's who they are. Those guys represent that entire demographic, and they fucking hate Israel. They're not to the point of being like outwardly anti-Zionist and calling into question the whole project of a Jewish state. They don't do that. But man, they are mad. They are mad about the whole thing in Gaza since the beginning. Israel has fewer and fewer friends. It is closing in. So the UK, Spain, France, then you've got the Financial Times in the media, the FT out of the UK, one of the biggest Zionist rags ever. And they've now calling it a genocide. I mean, it's amazing what's happening here. A huge transformation in the way that the establishment media in the West is thinking about this and talking about it. The FT, and then The Economist also was calling it a genocide. The Economist is like total globalist, Zionist, pro-Israel pillar forever. They're calling it a genocide. Who else? It's just one after the other pillar of the establishment falling, crumbling. Watching this latest slaughter of children, that little girl burning or trying to get out of that burning building, that video, the doctor in Gaza, pediatrician, a pediatrician in Gaza, woman, she had 10 children. She was at work saving babies or trying to save babies in the hospital when Israel bombed the apartment building that she lived in, and 9 of her 10 children weren't just killed, they were burned to death. We have video of their charred corpses being hauled out of her building. So, you know, and then we have the starvation, the blockade of food since March 18th, and then all the Zionists constantly denying that this is happening somehow, or, well, we have blockaded it, but blah, blah, blah. Oh, they say Hamas has stolen the aid, which hasn't happened. The little bits of aid that have gotten in have been, we now know this, the New York Times, the BBC have reported this, CNN's reported this. This is like completely known. Get this. In Gaza, for, you know, understandable reasons, Hamas has not been the only power, social power, political power in Gaza. There are also gangs. Because Hamas is not terribly organized, and because it's not a full-on state, of course, they don't have true sovereignty. So Hamas has never been able to gain like true total power, which is probably a good thing. So much of, or I don't know, significant portions of Gazan civil society have been kind of ruled by gangs. And I actually had a little bit of a relationship with someone who was a member of a family in Palestine who was major gang. Anyway, but yeah, so these gangs have rivalries like gangs everywhere, and they fight each other and they kill each other, et cetera, et cetera. Turns out the aid that was being stolen all this time, right? You've heard Zionists, I'm sure, pro-Israel people say this. The aid's being stolen by Hamas. No, it turns out these gangs have been stealing the aid, and the IDF has let them do it. There's actual video of the IDF soldiers watching them, like letting them go on the trucks, take the bags off, and walk away with it, so that they can then blame Hamas for this. Man, I watch debates, I watch interviews, I watch Israeli media, I watch pro-Zionist media, I watch these people. I've said this a few times, like in the last few months now, they don't even try to debate anymore. They actually, I think they've all been instructed, because they all do this now. They actually talk over their opponent, their debate partner. They immediately launch an ad hominems, but they mostly just talk over people, and they just repeat the same exact thing they've been saying for 2 years now. Human shields, which, by the way, good Lord, please, somebody show me a picture of a Palestinian baby being used as a human shield by Hamas. Please, one photo, one video, one statement, one anything. Show me a Palestinian child being used as a human shield in Gaza. I haven't seen a single scintilla of evidence of this, but they say it every single day.
What they mean is that they live in the same city.
Burnt babies, man.
Yeah.
16,000 children is the latest Gaza Health Ministry. Yeah, it's Hamas. Oh my gosh. Yeah, guess what? We've known this. Again, the lies are just like, for years and years and years and years and years, every time there's a war, the Hamas Ministry of Health in Gaza issues its numbers, and then the IDF in Israel issues its numbers, and guess what? They almost always correspond within like a few hundred or something. I mean, it's always very close. correlation. So yes, the Hamas Ministry of Health is quite accurate. In fact, they generally agree with Israel on how many people have been killed. 16,000 children so far. And by the way, that does not include all the ones who are under rubble. And of the 16,000, it is 11,000 under the age of 10. I mean, if you care about politics at all, why would you not care about this, right? If you care about, I get not caring about politics at all. That's fine. Then you shouldn't care about any of this. But if you care about politics, power, relations of power, you know, bad uses of power, I'm assuming that's why you're into politics. I mean, generally you see like power relations that you don't like, that you think are maybe you're imbalanced. Someone's getting the worst of a situation here, power imbalance. If you care about politics, which is what that is, it's about the relations of power. I just don't get how you don't care about this. Especially now. So yeah, it's caving in. The Zionist project is reaching its culmination, which everyone knew from the 1920s that it would end up here, because in the 1920s, Jabotinsky said the indigenous are going to rebel against us. The Arabs are going to rebel against us. And so we're going to have to erect an iron wall, which meant a dominant military force. And we're going to fight them. Guess for how long, he said. He said forever. Because he said, as did Herzl, as did Ben-Gurion, as did all the founders of the state of Israel, said at the time, every indigenous colonized people on earth, and they did say they were a colony, by the way, fuckers. Every indigenous colonized people in the history of earth have rebelled violently against their colonizers. We are about to be the colonizers in Palestine. They will fight us forever. Now, who in the world would want to move to that country? And thank God, the Koenigsbergs from Lithuania and Kyiv in around 1890 moved to New York and then Chicago instead of Palestine. When the Zionists came knocking on their door, telling them there's a glorious land to live in this fucking desert surrounded by Arabs where we're going to have to colonize them and be at war forever. My family, I don't know what their thinking was, but they said, nah, we're good. We're going to go to America instead. And not one of us has been killed since. Nor have we had to kill. Amazing.
I want to share.
God, I hate Israel.
I want to share this video. The Daily Wire.
Christ, the ultimate blood libel. I mean, imagine that. Like, right? What's the worst thing that's ever been said about Jews? The blood libel, the famous blood libel. Barry Weiss talks about it all the time. You know, medieval Europe, it was said repeatedly by states, by popes, by, you know, the heads of the societies in the Middle Ages. Jews kill children. They revel in it. They enjoy it. They kill Christian children for fun in large numbers. You know, as far as we know, total myth, truly anti-Semitic myth, and that's called the blood libel. The blood libel is that Jews kill lots of children. So here comes this state that says, oh, we are Jews. We are Jews. We are the same as Jews. Jews and Israel are the same things. We represent Jews. We act on behalf of Jews. We are saving Jews. We are for Jews. We are Jews. Jews are us. And they have killed in the last year and a half 11,000 prepubescent children. The greatest blood libel against Jews in the history of Jews, which is saying a whole lot, isn't it? Because they are outdoing the Nazis now in what Israel is doing to the reputation of Jews. I am very, very concerned, first, for Israeli citizens who are not complicit in this shit, which again, it's many of them are really truly not complicit and don't deserve anything. I'm really, really worried about them. And then secondary, and secondly, I'm not immediately, but I think eventually, if this continues as it has, American Jews like my son. I am zero concerned right now, but I don't think it's from anti-Semitism that the Barry Weisses of the world are talking about. That doesn't exist. That's a complete fraud and hoax. But I do think, because Israel has insisted for 80 years now that they represent Jews, and they do what they do is for Jews, that Jews want what they are doing. What else would you conclude? That Jews like to kill children? I mean, if you're not going to read the history, you're not going to think too hard about it, but you just take what Israel says and then look at what Israel does, what you would conclude, oh, Jews kill children. The ancient blood libel is completely correct. Thank you. And so if you're my son and your heritage is 80% from the shtetl, you're going to be a kid killer to most people, because most people are not sophisticated, are they? So thank you, Israel, for putting a giant target on the back of my son and on the backs of all the Jews in the world, which is the vast majority of them, who have nothing to do with this, who don't give a fuck about Israel, who, if asked by a poll taker, would say, sure, they support the right of Israel to exist, but otherwise never think about it. And I promise you, please, anybody challenge me on this. God bless you. Good luck on this. Most American Jews never even think about Israel. They don't care about Israel. I'm talking about those people. Those people. That's who I grew up among. They are not complicit in this. I promise. They didn't go to Zionist summer camps. They just don't care. No one talked about Israel. All the Jews I lived among and with in New York City and LA for decades, my mother is Jewish. No one cares. I mean, there are little conclaves of Jews in America who did go to Zionist summer camp, went to some Zionist shul. Sure, for sure. That happens, but it's a minority. The most Jews don't give a shit. And they should not be blamed for this, but they will be, because Israel has said they should be blamed for it. Israel has insisted over and over, and all the Zionists have insisted over and over, we should all be blamed. I'm eligible for Israeli citizenship too. Apparently, so therefore what they're doing is on my behalf. For me. Even me. Quarter Jew. Really. But I'm eligible for Israeli citizenship because I have one Jewish grandparent. And they say, therefore, they are doing this for me. Okay, so I'm a kid killer too. Anyway, it's about American Jews. The whole thing is going to be decided by American Jews. It's when American Jews decide that they no longer want to, or not no longer, that they want to stop this. And I don't mean just the current slaughter in Gaza, but the whole project of having this little fantasy Disneyland ethno-state in the Middle East, which is what it is. For American Jews, it's a Jewish Disneyland. It's like a political Disneyland. It's like, oh, here we go here and get to have our little fantasies about revenge for the Holocaust, even though blah blah blah, we didn't experience it directly. It's all bourgeois American privileged fantasies of overwhelmingly extremely wealthy, powerful people, by the way. When American Jews decide that they no longer want to be into this, no longer want to support this, they don't want the American government to support it, it's over. It's over. It's over for Israel. It's over for the Zionist project. It will be some kind of different sort of state, hopefully just a straight democratic state where everybody gets a vote. And then therefore, of course, Arabs will be a majority. And I don't know. I don't think there would be a mass slaughter of Jews commencing on the day after Liberation Day. I just don't. I know way too many Jews personally and otherwise, Jews, 100% Jews, Israeli and American Jews, who have lived in Gaza for extended periods, and all they have to say was it was great the way that they were treated, and they weren't even considered. I mean, it's just there's Jewish doctors right now serving in Gaza hospitals. Mark Perlmutter, guys can look it up. He was a Jewish doctor. He was there for months, just came home. He also reported. Now, here's what I was going to say. Feroz Sidwa. Jesus Christ. Feroz Sidwa from Stockton. So his testimony. So he's been on Pod Save America. He testified for the UN. People need to watch this testimony. This is the ultimate. To me, this to me is damn near proof that it's a genocide. I've been hesitant to use the term genocide. Mass murder, ethnic cleansing, obviously those two things, and who cares? Like, what's the difference? But yeah, no, like intentionally, like systematically, programmatically. So get this, guys. Feroz Sidwa and Mark Perlmutter, both doctors, trauma surgeons working in Gaza for months. I can't believe. I still. He said that he treated, not just saw, treated a child with a headshot wound every single day. Chest shot, headshot. Children, like under the age of 13. He himself personally, every single day. And he also said every other doctor he knew had the same exact experience. So the IDF, we know, has awesome snipers. And we also know that they set up the snipers in Gaza. And we also know that the scopes they have are so powerful, they can see super clearly a butterfly from 300 yards away. They're deliberately killing kids, guys. Like, not all IDF soldiers, I guess, but like clearly a lot are deliberately targeting children, not teenagers, children, prepubescent children, every single day. And they're getting away with it, not being court-martialed, not being punished, nothing. It's a genocidal army. And we know that a substantial portion of the government is genocidal because of the statements of Smotrich and others. Gallant, who was, head of the military until recently, but many of them, we know that. I mean, this was confirmation. When I heard these doctors testifying, it's just, they say that everybody they know in Palestine expects to die. Like, it's just sort of assumed among Palestinians in Gaza that they will die. The bombing of hospitals, like they're talking about performing surgery when the building is shaking from the bombs all around it. Mark Perlmutter had his tooth knocked out because he was thrown into a wall by a bomb blast when he was operating in a hospital. Just, oh my God, the stories about the dead kids. I mean, you want dead kids. I mean, it's just like, he said he spent, when Israel broke the ceasefire on March 18th at 2:15 in the morning and launched this bombardment, he said that the first 15 minutes of that were nothing but him declaring children dead. That it was a room full of dead kids or dying kids. And he just had to go to each one and just sort of like check their pulse, check their breathing, and just say, and tell their parents, tell their family, whatever. He said that's all he did at the beginning of that onslaught. And he said it's just been a mass casualty event, but he sees a child with a headshot fatal wound every single day. And he's just one doctor. So, I mean, I don't know. Oh, here's the fun part. All those bombs were made in Seattle and St. Louis. I don't know. this is a Holocaust, and it's kind of important to me. I don't know.
We got 24 minutes left.
I think you're muted.
No, check. Check, mic, check. Can you hear me?
Or is it me? Oh, you're not muted. I'm muted. Hang on. Sorry, my bad.
Check. Mic, check.
No.
Check.
It's you.
Check. No, I'm coming through.
Are we not? Hey, chat. Is it me or Michael?
Check. I'm coming through.
You hear Michael?
Yep.
You can hear. Okay, that's me. My bad. So sorry. Why is this happening? I'm gonna go to. Let me hear you now.
Check. Chiggy check. Check. Talking. 1, 2. My mic sounds nice.
I can't hear you. Why can I not hear you?
Check.
What am I not doing?
I'm going to recommend in the private chat here that Thad leaves and comes back and see if that does anything.
Volume's all the way up. I don't know what's going on here. Let me leave and come. I'll come back.
Yep. That's telepathy worked. Once again, we're at the impasse of every episode where we've got 20 minutes left. And there's audio problems, and we really haven't touched on anything in the description. I did want to talk about.
We're good now.
Check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good now. Yeah, we're good now.
I was saying that we're at the impasse that we're usually on every episode, where we've got 20 minutes left per se, and we really haven't necessarily touched on anything in the title. I do want to talk, if you want to stay on the subject a little bit, there was a Daily Wire journalist who shared a video alleging that Hamas set up a roadblock to prevent Gazans from getting aid, and that they somehow broke through, and perhaps with the help of Americans, they broke through and they used this video as evidence. And so this was the video presented.
I mean, so either it's AI, in which it's disgusting, or it's real and it's disgusting. So what's funny is that I think this morning I watched a few absolutely pro-Palestine, really anti-Zionist shows about this, and they showed this, and they didn't even talk about it being AI. They assumed it was real.
Really?
And but the point was, wait, this is what you want to portray? The dude's like doing to a bunch of starving people.
Well, it's like we're being greeted as liberators is the idea.
That too.
That's the propaganda idea.
Yeah, it's like the most grotesque, imperialist, stupid, ugly American demonstration you could even find. So if it's real, it's that. And if it's not real, it's just as gross. Just discuss. I don't know. So racist. I can't even stand it.
Well,
I mean, it's like truly racist. We are not racist against black people in this country. We are not, and we haven't been for a long time in any significant social way. But man, are we racist against the poor Palestinians. Boy, oh boy, we don't give a shit. We just do not think of them as human beings. We just don't.
Yeah,
we just don't.
I'm pretty certain this video is AI. I think the BBC reported it as AI. Google VEO3, their AI video platform, was launched this week or maybe early last week. And it is insane how realistic it looks. If you remember, shortly after October 7th, Ben Shapiro shared some photos that were AI doctored that looked obviously fake of crisped babies that were allegedly Israeli babies, and it was so fake that nobody fell for it. But this is starting to fool some people. There was a slop video of a kangaroo, an emotional support kangaroo, being denied access at an airport that fooled some people. And we are entering the age now where AI is pretty much indistinguishable from reality, and you can't trust any video you see. This is something that's been speculated about for like the last decade, but I think we're pretty much at that point where you can't trust any video you see.
No,
you have to rely on prejudice.
No, there are several extremely attractive women on Instagram I know are real. I just because they talk to me and they seem to like me.
They whisper.
I know they're real, man. I promise you. Those bodies seem like they couldn't be possible, but they're real. I mean it, because we have feelings for each other. Which, by the way, synthetic feelings. That's what AI is. That's a word. I think that's a term we could use maybe for the visceral response we have to AI imagery. Not weird.
Yeah.
Synthetic feelings, very deeply felt feelings about something that's absolutely invented. Now, that's not the first time, right? Fiction, of course, has existed for a long time, and people have had extreme feelings about fiction. But this is a case where it's fiction purporting to be real. Fiction and novels never purported to be real. Movies didn't purport to be real. This is purporting to be real, and we're having real feelings about something that's not even real. It's purporting to be real.
Well, with the AI girlfriends, I do believe it's like that scene in The Matrix where he's eating the steak.
They're not like, AI. They love me.
I'm
sorry.
Just because they're generated doesn't mean your feelings are invalid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, but yeah, it's like the scene in The Matrix where he's eating the steak and he's, taking the deal from the agents to rat out Neo or whatever. That, I know the steak is fake. I know that no cow produced it or whatever. It's not going to give me anything, but it's still juicy. I still love the taste, and I'm accepting this. I'm accepting the false reality. I think most consumers of that content, are explicitly constructing a false reality that they prefer over real reality based off of some learned hopelessness of modernity. Now's a good chance to watch Her, the movie in 2014 by Spike Jonze, where the AI girlfriend romance of Scarlett Jo and Joaquin Phoenix plays out, and I think he ends up getting like his heart broken by her, and that she there's like a surrogate, there's like some it's complicated. I haven't seen it, but that's worth revisiting because it sounds very prescient to what we're dealing with.
About the rise of AI, artificial intelligence, and synthetic feelings and parasocial relationships, right? With like podcast hosts, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm ambivalent about the whole thing. But let's do. We got 15 minutes. Let's do news.
You want to talk about Russia, Ukraine, or Harvard?
Other
or
news.
I've got
Harvard, really simple. So so Trump is canceling funding basically to Harvard, banning funding to Harvard, stopping funding to Harvard, and various kinds. There's student aid funding, then there's direct funding to like support scientific research, medical research, etc. And he's cut, I forget, hundreds of millions of dollars so far, etc. Okay. So that's the fact. And then the politics about it are very funny, which is that you have liberals saying, well, you have Trumpists, MAGA people, and generally right-wing people saying, yes, hell yeah, fuck Harvard. Either they're like, yeah, it's an anti-Semitic bastion, which is the hoax that AIPAC is perpetrating, or it's just like long-standing grievances, which I hold about higher education, the Ivy Leagues in particular, the elite institutions in particular, right? We don't have to rehearse it. I mean, everybody who watches this show, I'm sure, has the same feelings about higher institutions of the last 30, 40, 50 years, if not forever, right? I've been the chief hater of elite universities. No one can hold a candle to me on that. I just don't think they have any anti-Semitism whatsoever in them. I know they don't, because I used to teach and study in them for 2 decades.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, look at the presidents of every Ivy League university.
They're all Jewish, for fuck's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ. When I was at Columbia, which was a decade, the entire 90s, I was at Columbia. And then I was a professor there for another 5 years after that. The joke, and this was among Jews at Columbia, was we called it Columbia Juniversity, like, because it was dominant. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway.
What do you think about the new argument, though? I mean, I have an idea of what you'll think of it, but there's the other argument that American institutions that receive American tax dollars should serve the interest of American citizens.
I'm getting there.
And if the student body is 27% foreign,
I'm getting there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, right. So, okay. So those are the facts, though. Okay. So these are like Jewish, not just not anti-Semitic institutions. These are Jewish dominated institutions, faculty, students, kind of the intellectual culture, the history of them. Since the anti-Jewish quotas of the 40s, 30s and 40s were lifted, which was a thing. The Ivies had Jewish quotas, but after the 1940s, they lifted them. And since then, the Jews have fucking dominated.
Well, and you could bring them back under the pretext of equity and say that every ethnic group should be represented based off their population, and it would go back down to 2%. It's funny that nobody's making that argument, but
I've heard a bunch of Zionists complain about this, right? They see it as discrimination against Jews, because we'll no longer be 20% of the population of the universities when we're 1% of the population. That's so unfair. Anyway, okay, so those are the facts. And please, anybody who wants to, like, these free press types who like go on and on about the anti-Semitism on American campuses, please come talk to me in public. Come on, guys. This is an LSD trip on your part, and you're trying to get this over. If you've ever spent a minute on any of those campuses, you know this is an absolute fraud. Anyway, so those are the facts. Now, the politics of this are hilarious in American ways. Right. So I said the conservatives, people on the right, even people like me, whatever, they're like, cool, Harvard should be defunded anyway, whether it's anti-Semitic or not. And also not because of its wokeness and all of its ridiculous DEI policies and its racism. And I've been denied positions, jobs at elite universities twice for my race. Okay, so I have skin in this game. I got beefs. Not even for that reason or those reasons. They're not anti-Semitic. They have been racist, and they've been disgustingly racist in different ways. But that's not why they should be defunded. They should be defunded because no university, no school, no nothing, no educational institution at all should be funded by the government, which means that it's under the control of the government, which means that Donald Trump, guys, dumbasses, liberals, Donald Trump has every right in the world, legally, morally, ethically, however you want to count it, to walk in there and say, yo, change your curriculum or you're not getting our money anymore. This is exactly why we don't want the government to fund in any way our schools. Donald Trump is providing the object lesson. This is exactly why we don't want to fund, because any old knucklehead can walk in there who's president and say, you're going to teach this instead. And you're going to fire those professors, and you're not going to admit those students, and you're going to expel these students, and you're going to teach this. It's fascism, guys. This is actually the one part of Trump's program that I think is truly definitionally fascist, because it is not, he's not trying to silence speech on campuses. He's not trying to just silence Palestinian speech. That would be authoritarian. No, he's trying to change the curriculum and teach and tell them what to teach. And guess who he wants, teaching Middle Eastern history at Columbia? He wants a bunch of Israeli officials, probably, right, to teach. So this is actual fascism. This is the totalitarian aspect of fascism that Trump is actually enacting.
But
most of his, he's not a fascist otherwise.
Again, that compared to what, though? Compared to the institution already operating to produce miniature Hillary Clintons. Like, that's the entire reason why the Ivy League exists. Is
totally.
This is the place that produced Ben Shapiro, that produced Elizabeth Warren, that produced everybody. It produced Obama. It produced Barack Hussein Obama. It produced
all of them. It produced the entire ruling class. Yes, of course. The entire establishment. Everybody who works the New York
That's how
Times.
it's been chugging along.
Yeah. Everybody who works for the New York Times or serves in Congress went through one of those schools. Pretty much, like 95%. Yeah. So what you're saying again is it's a healthier form of fascism?
Yes. And to bring that word to bring the F word into the dialogue for the first time, when big scary orange man suddenly tries to rein it in a little bit and have it serve the actual interests of the American people that democratically elected him.
This should excuse me. The interest of the American people, the Zionist nonsense. What?
The Zionist is a pretext. I think the broader thing is admitting American citizens into elite institutions. That it's an institution that has 27% of its students as foreign nationals, and it's denying people with 4.0 GPAs that are outstanding. There's like a 99% denial rate, and there's thousands, there's probably millions of kids qualified to get into Harvard, and they have remedial math classes in Harvard now. The standards have gone down so much. So why can't this institution serve the interests of Americans? Why does it have to be this globalist, international, liberal elite thing that produces the elites that undermine our own sovereignty and hate middle America?
Because the liberal elites have much better taste in coffee and food and interior design and fashion and architecture and music, mostly, and movies, and aesthetically they're superior. I just don't want to be in a world in which, can you imagine if Donald Trump's cabinet decided what restaurants are in your town and what architecture will be featured in your town and what music will be allowed on the radio stations? And it's not, you don't want to live there, man. We're going to have to move to Cuba. You're going to move to Cuba.
You should come to the Indy 500 sometime. You should come down. Just last week, you'll be
I like it in pockets, right? I like it in pockets, but if they dominated the world, the country, if everywhere was the Indy 500, would you want to live here?
How badly do the Pacers need to beat the Knicks for you to understand Midwestern supremacy?
You're moving to Cuba, bro. You're living in Havana, bro. Come on now. There will be no Afro-Cuban percussion allowed. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure percussion will be allowed. I'm not sure rhythm will be allowed in Trumpistan. These people don't like black culture. By the way, have you noticed this? They don't. That's the main divider to me. I've said this.
Kid Rock.
The main divider in politics. Honestly,
Kid Rock.
Think about this, everybody. Okay. I mean, Elvis. It's the Elvis Presley thing. I mean, those who think about this think about people in politics in whatever form and whether they like Black art, Black musicians themselves or not. If they like Kid Rock and Elvis Presley, that's one thing. They might probably do, but do they actually like Marvin Gaye and Al Green and Miles Davis? And no, they don't. Guys, have you noticed this? The right wing doesn't like Black people.
Well,
like they don't like Black culture.
That
it's fine to like. I don't mind not liking Black people. That's fine. But when you don't like Black culture, that's also fine. But I just don't want to hang out with you, and I certainly don't want you to run society, because
again, once Black culture is no longer co-opted by the State Department, and once it's no longer a force of cultural imperialism, and it's back on a neutral playing field, I think it could be appreciated. But there are other factors, and again, Kid Rock is an American egalitarian icon of American culture. He does not get the respect he deserved. He introduced auto-tune into the world. It was him and Cher in 1997. Then
and for this we should celebrate him.
He's got Black lesbian as a drummer. He's got Cindy.
He's
no, that's Cindy. That's Santana.
Who's the
Santana actually?
Who's the Black lesbian drummer for Kid Rock?
I forget her name, but band's called Brown Trucker, and they've been writing with him since the 90s. Phenomenal. Okay. Kid Rock, and he's got the most legit hip hop credentials. If you listen, like 89, like he came out in 89. Who's the guy that co-signed him? But you know, he was a fresh b-boy breaking down science in his first album. Just like
who listens to Kid Rock? Who's his audience? Is it MAGA chuds who listen to Kid Rock? I don't think so.
It's the Hank Williams Jr. crowd. Okay.
I don't know if that's MAGA. Part. I don't know if that. Maybe. So we got 2 minutes. Let's do the Ukraine war. Go.
Yeah.
Did you want to do that?
Sure. Yeah. Trouble in paradise between Trump talking tough about Putin bombing Kyiv. I just think the big thing to say about this is that things have gotten so bad in this, and that, you know, we've ignored every possible chance for peace. And it looks like Putin will never accept the NATO Zelensky regime to be at his border ever again.
Well, right. Or flip it. I mean, NATO and the NATO world is not accepting that Russia has won the war. So
Germany's sending weapons to Ukraine still. And
I think this is correct, that the problem standing between war and peace is the general cultural attitude among NATO elites, Western elites, government, not so much the people. People don't pay attention to this. 90% of Americans and Europeans don't know anything about this, but the 10% who do, and then in particular those who like make policy. Do you all remember? Does everyone remember, like in the first 2 years of the war, constantly every single day, what did we hear just about the objective claims about how the war was going? Remember what the NATO Western press was saying every damn day? It was Russia's getting killed. Ukraine is winning. Ukraine's going to win this. Ukraine is victorious. Ukraine's amazing. Russia's crumbling. Its economy's in tatters. This was every day. It was just a torrent, right? For 2 years, maybe more. And so that's continuing now in a new form, which is that they no longer say that Ukraine's winning, but they will not in any way, shape, or form acknowledge that Russia's won and that they're not going anywhere and that they have the absolute upper hand in the negotiations. There's whatever you want to say about it. The only way you can budge Russia off of its pedestal right now is to go full war against them and actually defeat them in war. But that would require probably American boots on the ground, maybe nuclear strikes, right? So if we're not going to do that, Russia has won. They conquered that land. They have not given up really any of it in 3 years. Ukraine is toast. They've no longer getting the support they got. America is no longer shipping them weapons. Western Europe is bankrupt militarily. They have no more weapons to give them. You and I could invade the United Kingdom tomorrow because they have no tanks anymore because they sent all the tanks.
We could invade them with butter knives.
Hell yeah.
It's
right. They're a bunch of poofters anyway. But no, I mean, they've given their much of their military, as have the Germans, to Ukraine. They truly have no national defenses anymore, and nothing left to give. So it's over. I mean, and Putin has said this for months now, many, many months, like, we have won. You haven't budged us. We've controlled these provinces for more than a year, 2 years now. And there's no chance of driving us back. And so you're going to accept our terms. And what NATO, the NATO countries and the NATO media, the Western media, have been saying ever since is, and they get moralistic about it. They're like, well, wait, but this was really mean and bad. You invaded a country. We can't let him do this. I'm like, we no longer have a choice, guys. There's no longer a choice. He won. Putin won. Russia won. The Russian military won. Defeated Ukraine militarily. And there's been no budge really in the front line for 3 years. So you now have to accept his conditions, his terms, to have peace. And Trump is he's the one who sees this. This is one good thing I'll say, but he does actually see this, but he can't quite say that, because to say that is to sound like you're a Putin apologist. So the entire Western political culture around this is continuing this war because it will not allow Russia to win.
Including congressional Republicans in their new spending bill. Yeah.
Yeah. And so God knows how many, and boy, the videos are getting even worse now from Ukraine. Like, guys are getting blown up all the damn time in Ukraine, both sides, every single day. And that's why. Because the Western elites refuse to accept that Russia has won. And they want to keep the war going. It's World War I levels of sociopathic barbarity on the behalf of the elites. You've seen like movies of World War I where these politicians and generals are like making this, oh yeah, let's go send the troops over there and kill 100,000 of them, and we don't. Utterly sociopathic. That's what you're seeing now, both in Ukraine and Gaza, by American and Western elites. They're like, yeah, let's keep this war going for whatever reason, even though we know we can't win it. Same with Vietnam, same with Iraq, same with Afghanistan for 20 years. It's a thing among Western elites. We like to continue wars for a long, long time, even when we know we cannot win them. And that is a psychology we should all think about. Is that simply a desire to decimate the brown enemy, to simply reduce the numbers of Slavs, I guess, and Arabs and Asians? I don't know. Is it racist? Or is it to send a message to anybody of any color? Don't fuck with us. We know we are not going to win against you ultimately, but we will kill lots and lots of your children if you fuck with us. In Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaza, Russia, will kill lots of your people. Which, that was Noam Chomsky's argument about the Vietnam War, is that the United States actually did win the Vietnam War by making it into a massive announcement that we will kill your people if you ever challenge our hegemony. And that could be exactly what's been going on in all the wars against the United States since 1975.
I'm reminded of a tweet that Dan Crenshaw set out at the outset of the war. He said, like, basically, what's not to like about this conflict? We're killing thousands of Russians, and all we have to do is send money.
Right.
And that's the attitude, is convert money into dead Russians.
Keith Kellogg, the general, just said this in testimony in Congress just a few days ago. He said it straight up. He said, it's an incredible deal. We've heard this before too, right? Others have said this, but like high officials saying this has been great for America because we've killed a lot of Russians without having to send any of our own troops in. We've gotten a free kick, a free hit on the Russians. I mean, it's sociopathic. It's like criminal conspiracy of the highest order. It's like a grand criminal conspiracy. It's incredibly cynical. And again, it confirms my long-held belief that you pretty much need to be a sociopath to be a politician, especially if you aspire to being part of the head of state in any way. Congress, president, Senate, the people who actually make the big decisions, foreign policy staff in particular. I could never do it. I could never say, oh yeah, let's have a drone strike over there instead of over there. Knowing that there's a solid chance that some civilian or child will be killed. I couldn't do that. I don't think most people I know could do that. It's really the business of sociopaths. I don't see who else could possibly do that job. Well, and we should all just always remember that when we think about who the government is and what it is. It's almost by definition a sociopathic entity.
I'm not necessarily certain that that's the way the system has to function. But when you see things like this getting out of hand, it's because of an escalation, and like with the Israel thing, let's say you're an IDF soldier with a sniper rifle who, because you can, and because of what you've been taught, and because everybody's behind you on it, you end up shooting a child between the eyes. And that's what you have to live with now. Or if you're a State Department official and your decisions result in that, it's human nature, and it's the nature of evil to not come face to face with that reality and to double down on the propaganda that got you to that place. Yeah. And then escalate into something even deeper and more evil, because your two options are to admit that you're a monster or to keep going down that path.
Being trapped in the logic of your nation state or your tribe or your ideology. And so you get trapped in the logic, and you will take it all the way to the end, even if the end is 20,000 dead kids. Right? That's what I'm watching people do that. I'm watching people just hang on to the logic of their ideologies, but knowing that that's just a sliding rope down to dead kids.
It's a sunken cost fallacy.
You're just, I mean, I've argued many times in the course on Israel at the Academy and elsewhere, Zionism always was, inevitably, as I said earlier today, inevitably would end up here in some way or another. They just had to, because the indigenous people were going to resist. And that's it. And so you got to kill them or move them out or both, period. And that's all that's been happening for 100 years now. Just killing them and pushing them out, because they have resisted, like the Indians did, like the Aborigines did, like all the indigenous populations have done against colonial powers. It's just that damn simple. Jews are nothing special in this regard. These Jews, I should say, are nothing special in this regard. It's just that they are libeling all Jews on earth in doing this and carrying out this disgusting project by saying they're doing it for all Jews is the worst part for me. Anyway, my man. Yes, sir.
Would you ever consider not identifying as Jewish?
I mean, I do. Depends on what we're talking about. It depends on what the context is. But yes, so long as Israel, so long as I'm eligible for citizenship according to Israeli law, I'm going to have some things to say about it. When that is no longer the case, no, I have no reason to identify as Jewish. that some nation state is identifying me as Jewish and then doing these things in my name, I guess, and the name of my son too. Yeah, no, I will absolutely say, yeah, as a Jew, according to you, I'm opposed to every single thing you stand for and are doing. Your reason for being is a terrible. It depends on anti-Semitism. Think about this. The state of Israel doesn't exist. Zionism doesn't exist without anti-Semitism. Its justification, its reason for being, its reason for its own existence is anti-Semitism, right? If there is no anti-Semitism, there's no reason at all for Israel to exist. It's the founding basis justification for Zionism. And so that means they have to make sure there is anti-Semitism, and that's why they always produce it all the time.
That's the thing. If you really want to destroy Israel, you got to stop hating Jews.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the only way to crush Israel forever, is to stop hating Jews.
Right, but this is why they're always talking about how anti-Semitic everything is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're always manufacturing these hoaxes.
Yeah.
It's just so disgusting. All right. So everyone should go to my Substack. That's where everything's moving to right now. We're going to move this show. Will be housed on or hosted on Substack soon. But I have articles there. All of our courses will be on Substack very shortly. I am doing the transition now. Everything. If you're on Patreon, I haven't transitioned yet, but that will be happening. There will be, you will only gain if you're a patron of this show. You will only get more stuff. It'll be, nothing will change for you. Same amount of money, but you'll just get more stuff on Substack. So go to Substack right now, thaddeusrussell.substack.com. And you can become a free subscriber just to know what's happening. You don't have to pay me anything. Or if you want to support this show and everything else that we're doing, throw in some bucks and become a paid subscriber. But that is where it's at. Everything's moving there right now. And within the next week or two, I would say, all of my operations and Michael's operations will be going to Substack. So this is the place to be. Also, by the way, Substack is amazing. I'm so happy to be there. God, and to be free from Twitter. It's like, it's all adults having grown-up conversations and no name calling and no ad hominems. And it's just so much more serious in a good way. Like real writing, real analysis, real intellectual work. Again, and people sort of treating each other in civil ways. I have seen almost nothing, no ad hominems of the Twitter variety on Substack so far. It's awesome. I love it. The smartest people are there. The idiots stay on Twitter. Go to Substack and live there. I strongly recommend that. But Michael, great show. Thank you. Oh, and then now, right. This will not change either. The after show. When we move to Substack, it'll be the same thing for everybody who comes to the after show, which is right now. Pretty soon, I'll be putting the Zoom link in the Substack for subscribers only. Again, you will be transitioned if you're just getting it from Patreon. Don't worry, it won't affect you at all, except for the better. You'll just get more stuff. But right now, yes, go to Patreon. Can you put the link up? I put the link for the Zoom, the after show in the Patreon for now. And if you want to be a patron, and then you'll get transition to Substack soon, go here, patreon.com/unregistered, $5 a month. And you can come hang out with us at the after show after Unreported every Wednesday night, the highlight of my week. But again, this will all be moving to Substack very shortly, like in the next couple of weeks. So go to Substack. Thaddeus Russell at Substack. All right, guys. Thank you, Michael. I'll see you on the other side.
Yep. See you there. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Peace.